Continental, or the Continental from the world of John Wick, is a three-part event that premiered on Peacock September 22nd, 2023. This is season 1, and it's only 3 episodes. This first episode, titled Brothers in Arms, is an hour and 26 minutes long. Yes, it's like a actual film. It stars Mel Gibson as Cormac, who runs the Continental of New York during the 1970s, and Colin Woodall as Winston Scott, who you may know where Ian McShane played Winston in the John Wick films. And it tells the story of Winston and Frankie, who are brothers. And when they're young, they get captured and they get sent to jail, but Winston's really weak. Frankie's really strong. Frankie begins to work at the Continental. We don't know really much of his backstory. Cormac, I want to say, is the villain in this show. Mel Gibson is great, but he's not really seen much in this episode, I want to say. Now, it starts off with Frankie stealing something from Cormac, and then all of a sudden, this 15-minute bloodshed on Continental grounds happens to open this series. While we see Winston in London trying to make a deal with car parks and doing everything, he gets captured, gets sent back to New York, and the reason is because Cormac needs Winston to find Frankie to get this thing back from him. And it's like a coin stamper. And if you know what that is, then you've seen the John Wick films. All the while, a crazy adventure ensues where Winston meets people, goes, does things, and it's just interesting. It's really story-based driven, and it's really slow burn at times. If you want John Wick style action, you're not going to get that with this. So over the course of the episode, Winston does find his brother Frankie. They have to try and, go through aspects and everything. And it's just a whole aspect of trying to figure out what to do. And there are a lot of nice homages to the John Wick franchise and the 4 films with the kind of Easter eggs and the dialogue. And you have a young Charon, which Lance Reddick played in the main John Wick films, and he is a younger version in this character, and he is kind of the right hand to Mel Gibson's Cormac. And Cormac is really interesting. It's just Mel Gibson trying to, do things the right way, but he can't kill because it's on Continental grounds. The high table is mentioned. A lot of interesting factors are happening on this show, and it's really, really interesting. I did not expect them to have a spin-off of the John Wick franchise, but listen, what other way could you do it than have a kind of starter story with Winston Scott? Ian McShane plays a great character in the John Wick films, and Colin Woodall is not bad. He just doesn't have that demeanor or spark anymore, but we'll see what happens. Ben Robson as Frankie is really good. He's a badass. Just that aspect with, you're like 6'2", long hair, kicking ass, taking names. And his wife Yen is also in it. That character is interesting. Then you got Uncle Charlie, played by Peter Green, who you may know from the movie The Mask, where he played Dorian Tyrell. He's in this. There's a little interesting aspect. Not only that, the real-world events that take place in this are the Winter of Discontent in the UK and the American Mafia's rise to economic power in New York during the 1970s. So far, this is an interesting show. Like I said, it's only a 3-part event. It's a mini-series, so I don't know if it's going to continue or what's going to happen. But from what I see, it's story-driven, and it's so far okay. But I feel like it's going to pick up a little bit just to see how Winston comes about being the owner of the Continental later on. I'm pretty sure we know Cormac dies somehow or some way, or does he not follow the rules of the high table? Because the high table is still mentioned in this show, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the Continental, or the Continental from the world of John Wick. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the first episode? Did you like the story? How do you think Mel Gibson is as Cormac? And do you think Colin Woodall is good as Winston? Where do you see the story going? And do you think that this first half, or this first season being a 3-part, series event is good, or do you wanted more, 8 to 10 episodes, or do you think 3 is just perfect and good enough? And what do you think about seeing the Continental through the eyes of a spin-off in Winston as he was a young person or a young guy obtaining it later on? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked, and be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new review videos on my channel. I will see you all in the next review video, and be sure you tune in next week for my episode 2 review of The Continental.